Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. I see Dave Stange out there. All right, maybe Tommy UCX hiding behind the refrigerator over there. And I see all of our good friends out there, including Doug Forrest, who sent me some pictures of the Endeavor situation, Marty, out at the Los Angeles Museum. Yep, there's Doug Forrest out there working in California. So glad that everybody's here. I'm a little bit, not say tired, just exhausted from a wonderful weekend of celebrating our American heroes. It was wonderful in a way of however the respectfulness and just the feel of being in places over the weekend. I was at Launch Complex 34 with Marty and some of our friends, our volunteers here at the Space Museum to see the Apollo 1 memorial on the night of the tragedy, January 27th, 57 years later. And then we had our memorial out at Sandpoint Park Sunday. We apologize we weren't able to bring it to you live. We did have a recording of it that we might put up, but we'll fix that for next year. Just one of those hiccups in the road of being a nonprofit. And we are strained for money all the time, like most nonprofits. And we certainly appreciate everybody contributing to us. And the more concerned you are about helping us financially, please get in touch with us so we can expedite that and get you a big tax credit off. And we're very grateful to Steve Jokums up there at the Lake County Spaceport in Illinois. He sent us this letter to our staff with that beautiful new logo of Steve's business called the Lake County Spaceport that for 12 years has been supplying the modelers, the space modeling group, detailed products like decals for the underbelly of a shuttle, thermal protection system tiles. They have 5 major shuttle decal systems and so on. We've talked about Steve, but thank you for including 8 copies of your cool patch here. And this was part of the astronomy club, Steve says. Let me look at that with my glasses on here in a minute. Where did I put my glasses, Marty? Oh, I got some right here. Wanted to get that right, that Steve said this was the astronomy club patch, but it's their 12th anniversary, and he's sold products all over the world. Thank you, Steve, very much for your generous contribution to us. We also just give you a brief look at the wonderful celebration we had of the lives of the 17 crew members of Apollo 1, Challenger, and Columbia. We had, this is the whole group of presenters that put flowers on the markers around this flagpole in downtown Titusville. In the middle there is astronaut Mike McCully, and Mike gave a wonderful address centered around his own life, where when he was a young man, a teenager, his father died. I think he was 8 years old, he said, right, Marty? His father got killed in a car wreck, and he's in San Diego, California, and his mom had friends, family in Tennessee, and they went to Livingston, Tennessee is where he grew up. And that was all his way of saying tragedies happen and it's how you live through them. And that was, of course, the theme of the Phoenix Rising from these tragedies of the losing the 17 astronauts. There's Mr. Bob Seek, who launched about, I think I counted 57 shuttles as launch director, setting down the carnation on the plaque there, so you get an idea. We had a big sunny day, got a little warm in the 70s, and that'll be the warmest it's down here probably for a week, the weatherman says. So that was our little memorial there, and there peacefully we look at a setting in the sky that many of you see all the time, but you don't know what you're looking at. You know that's the moon, in this beautiful photograph taken years ago by myself. That's actually the planet Venus and Mars next to, or I'm sorry, Venus and Mercury next to each other. But I find, particularly after working hard and so forth for the past few weeks on the events we have around here, I find it very comforting and appeasing to get out under the stars. And so I want you all to try to wrap your head around that, even in the cold climates that you're in. That if you go out and bundle up and spend a little time, like in a lawn chair, and have a thermos with some cocoa in it and so forth, that you might be able to experience a little bit of serenity. Maybe it's like a Zen thing, and I'm not a big nut on all kinds of therapies, and you're not a nut if you are. Okay, I'm just pointing out that there's ways that we all chill out. Some enjoy a cocktail at night, and if they can handle that, that's fine. Other people get on their boat, get on an airplane, private plane I'm talking about, and fly around. And stargazing is a lot like that. Marty, do you see my script laying over there? I gave you one and didn't make it over here of the slides I racked up. So we have behind me here on the green screen, it's probably on the top of the green screen. This is the belt of Orion, Orion's sword right there. No, I don't see. That's okay. Looking around here, we are what we are here. I really don't need a script for this. I just wanted the ranking of the pictures. Tilt yours your way, and I'll know what's up next, Marty.
I've got the pictures.
Oh, good. There we are. All right. Thank you, sir. Looking for this, our little slideshow, which is usually the only script I use. And so doing a little stargazing gets you back in the groove for me. And frankly, I'm not doing enough of it down here in Florida. I got spoiled up in Tennessee, where in an hour you could be on top of a mountain and in pretty dark skies. But this around Florida, you can just see some of the bright stuff. But from your own backyard, that bright stuff is very fascinating. And I'm going to show you there are like 8 bright stars in the sky, the most that we ever see at one time of any season. And they form a gigantic G in the sky. All right, a G spot, if you will, up in the sky there. And it's very fascinating to make constellations of your own. We call them asterisms. But I encourage you to bundle up wherever you are. If it's cool, get out underneath the stars this week. The moon's not rising till around 9:30 this evening on January 29th, 2024. And each night it rises about an hour later. Think more like 50 minutes. It's never quite an hour. But if it's rising at 9:30 tonight, it'll be at 10:30 minus 10 minutes. It'll be about 10:20 Tuesday night. And 50 minutes later on Wednesday night, 10:20, add an hour. That's 11:20. Take off 10. Be about 11:10 when it rises. Excuse me. Let me have a little drink here. Tickle my throat. So we are not always wanting to have the moon out to observe, because that bright light of the moon knocks out some of the sky and you can't see the galaxies and nebula. So now's the time to see some of those things. But now's the time also to marvel at the size and distance and coincidences of these sometimes gigantic stars in the sky. You go out about 9 o'clock at night, and it's going to be good and dark. You look to the south, and you have Orion the Hunter, the 3 stars inside this big octagon, it's called. It's either the octagon or the G in the sky. And Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. And you go out tonight, and when it's dark, just look east. You're going to see the sky much like this. And Sirius does draw your attention. But as you look up directly overhead, and that would be above where Betelgeuse and to the left of Aldebaran there, that would be the planet Jupiter. So I got some of the stars labeled here, and they're bright, as you notice, 42 light years away for Capella at the top. Castor and Pollux, the brother stars of Gemini on the left, are each about 45, 50 light years away. So the light that left Castor left it in, and this is 2024, so it left it in 2074. So I was kicking pretty hard there in 1974. I mean, not 2074. In 1974, 50 years later, I'm seeing light that left Castor when I was discoing back in the 70s, Marty. And that's how you look at things. We're looking back in time. Now, Procyon is very bright, and that's 11 light years away. And I said Sirius at the bottom is the brightest star in the sky. Jupiter, when you look at Jupiter directly overhead and then glance down at Sirius and back and forth, you'll say, boy, Jupiter's a lot brighter than Sirius, and it is. But Sirius is the brightest star, and it's 8.6 light years away, almost 9 light years away. So the light that left that star left in 2015, 2015. And it's hitting our eyes now. And then Betelgeuse in the arm of Orion, armpit of Orion, up his left shoulder, is 642 light years away, yet it's brighter than Castor and Pollux. So this is a star that's got a lot more energy, and it's because that light has come across a greater distance, almost 10 times the distance. So if we swapped out Betelgeuse or Rigel, there's 800 light years away. If we put Rigel where Sirius is, 100 times closer, Rigel in the daytime would cast a shadow like the sun, and at nighttime you could probably read a book under the light of it. So if you get the gist, some of these stars are bright because of their proximity to our sun. Others are bright because of the energy they put out, and they're bigger. And now as we look at all these stars are like people. They're different shapes and sizes and colors. Not so many shapes, but they're different colors and sizes. Here again is that celestial G asterism. It's made up of stars from constellations, just like the Big Dipper is not a constellation. It's the asterism or made up dot to dot of Ursa Major the Bear. And I'm going to show you a couple other asterisms. So you got Aldebaran and Taurus, bright red, Capella, Castor, Pollux, Procyon, Sirius, and Rigel. Then you go up, take a left at Saph is the other shoulder star in Betelgeuse. So, but all those stars are first magnitude stars and easily seen. Now, when you go out, and I know that looks complicated to a lot of you, but you take a star chart like this that you can buy at any bookstore or order online, and you put the time of day, and if you go 9 o'clock at night over here, and then I wheel it around to look for January, and I'm here at the end of January, and this isn't a scientific instrument that you have to accurately have it put there, but this is the sky right now. And I'm looking at, wait a minute, the blue you said before is the Milky Way. Yeah, there's a winter Milky Way that goes through. It's the other side of the arm, the Perseus arm, that we see in the summertime. It's further away and not as bright. But as you see on my chart here, and then some of these you flip over on the back, and you see the night sky from looking south. And clearly you see Orion, the hunter there. So all of these, as you see, have great instructions. And this is a computer dial in your hand. And you lay there with binoculars just because you want to look around binoculars, have a snack with you. You're all bundled up. I've done this hundreds of times by myself, the radio playing, getting out of the house, away from civilization, and you start absorbing and looking around, and you realize, wow, there's a lot of planes going by me here, and those must be satellites. Yeah, and you can look up the satellites too. They'll tell you what one's going over. There's an app for that, and then you just, as your eye adapts, it opens, and you see more, and more, and finally there's a limit because of the light pollution you're in. But you hear the dog barking in the distance, all right? You might hear an owl flying overhead. And suddenly you are immersed in the universe like nobody else in your family, all right? And when it's particularly cold, and I'm in a very comfortable snowsuit and maybe even have a blanket over me, and I'm all bundled up and my eyes are just looking out there, I kind of feel like an astronaut must feel on a spacewalk. You know, that I'm all just me, myself, and the environment there. And the nighttime environment is very beautiful and has a rhythm all of its own, from winter, of course, to the spring, and then summer you hear more. And definitely you're laying there and you hear more activity in the night, maybe in the summertime than you do in the wintertime. But those of you lucky to be in a tranquil place like a farm, or have some acreage, live in a forest area or on a mountain, those are the times where you can connect and really feel like, wow, it's pretty special being a human being. And I felt this many times in my life, and I just share that with you today, that I think it make you feel better. And then you go inside a half hour later, and the honeymooners are on the late night TV antenna show, or you're watching another rerun of whatever you like to watch. You're back to normal. But I like stepping outside and and I do that on the beach out here in Florida. In fact, that's why I might be cranky, Marty. I haven't been out to the beach or looking under stars because it's been raining. It's been chilly. But I do go out to Cape Canaveral Beach a lot after work with a lawn chair, and just dig your feet in the sand and see what's going to happen around you that night. And try it. I think you'll like it. Well, let's just go through quickly some of these stars I was talking about that are different sizes. We're not going to go through all this. It's just to impress upon you. Here's our solar system, Jupiter, on the left, the top left picture, number 1. That's Jupiter. And then you've got our sun is the middle star. I'm sorry. The top one is Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Earth. All right. Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth. And then they're showing you on the right the scale of Earth at the tiny bottom, number 2 at the top, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter. These are the scales of our solar system. Then we go to the scale of our Jupiter at the bottom. At the bottom there you have Aldebaran, Rigel, Antares, and Betelgeuse. All these stars except Antares is in the summer sky, are in our sky right now. Okay. That's the bottom one. I'm sorry, I get confused. The middle one is Jupiter, a star called Wolf 350, our sun, and Sirius. So our sun on the left-hand panel in the middle is orange, and to the right of it is Sirius, which is a big blue star. Now our star is actually called a dwarf star in many ways. It's not very big. Then panel number 4 shows you Sirius, how it dwarfs our sun. Now it's real tiny compared to Betelgeuse and 2 other stars, and so on and so forth. So Betelgeuse there, tiny, the second one from the bottom in the middle panel, would engulf the orbit of Mars if we put it in our solar system. So stars are all different sizes. Some of them might be more wobbly and less spheroid than they are. And so it gives you the gist when you're looking up in the sky. The other thing you want to think about is most of these stars have planets going around them. All right. Here again is another Sirius size of the stars there, showing you that there are some really huge stars out there, like Betelgeuse. I'm pointing out there as we go back to Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is this star right here. But as you see, it's larger than Antares and Aldebaran. Aldebaran is in the red star Antares the Bull. And look how puny it is compared to Betelgeuse, the armpit of Orion. And then yet in the next panel here, there's Betelgeuse. And these that I told you would swallow up Earth if it was put in our solar system. And all these stars are even more gigantic. So it's the life cycle of stars that causes that. Now, Betelgeuse dimmed, and we've talked about this before, that in 2019 and then through the COVID, it actually got dimmer. And through the Hubble telescope, they figured out that it had burped some of its energy and atmosphere, and it was such a big cloud that it blocked out light and dimmed. So look at Betelgeuse. One night it might be gigantic, blazing, because it's going to blow up. It's going to blow up in 10 minutes, 10 years, 100 years, or 10,000 years. certainly within 1 million years, it's probably going to blow up as the life cycle of stars dictate. So there's some of the big stars there, showing you the beautiful nighttime shots. This is very reminiscent of you up in the Midwest and in Northeast states where there's bare trees. And I like that. The bare trees really give you a good feel of being out in the universe. It really does. Here's a shot of Orion with its belt and down its of stars, and then its sword coming down is a great nebula. This, you can take these pictures like I did with a time exposure, and this happens to be a cross filter on the lens. Again, the stars of Orion that you're so familiar with now are distances away from us. Betelgeuse is 300 light years away, but the belt stars are 1,200 light years away. And yet they're still pretty bright, so we know that they are more powerful to shed their light than the closest. Look at Saph at the bottom there, 1,300 light years away. Again, if Betelgeuse and Saph switched places, Saph would be so powerful, it would cast a shadow during daytime. You'd see it in the day, and at nighttime you could it would read by it. So there's the beautiful Orion. Go out there, get you a star chart. Go to the library and check out a book on astronomy. Even if it's 50 years old, the constellations haven't moved. The data on the planets and what we know about nebulas and galaxies has changed. Like, we didn't know that Orion was engulfed in this gigantic cloud of hydrogen until hydrogen filters were invented. And astronomers took this, like my friend Matt Harbison in Chattanooga, an award-winning, not just one photo, this is several hundred photos, if not thousands, I forget, stitched together in a very cosmic way. We see this, but if we could see hydrogen alpha, hydrogen raw, in like most of the universe is, it would look like that. Well, you take the belt of Orion and you go to the south and you see Sirius, but you're going to see it anyway. It is a stick figure of a dog. It looks like a man, very much, the body of it. Sirius is Canis Major, the big dog, and above it is Canis Minor, the little dog. So the hunter has his own dogs. There is the brightest star Sirius in a backyard telescope, photographed very well. It actually has another star going around it that was discovered about 100 years ago. And because it's in the dog constellation and called the dog star, they called the orbiting companion the pup. Here's a picture of Orion above me here. You see the belt, orange Betelgeuse, very white Rigel above me. And then that star in the middle at the bottom is the brightest star in the sky, Sirius. And then the upper left is Procyon. Procyon is also a bright star. Well, Betelgeuse, the red one at the top, at the bottom Sirius, and Procyon form what's called the Winter Triangle, another asterism in the sky that you can identify other constellations around it. So there you have the G and the octagon in the sky. And like I said, get some time under the sky. If you spend 1/2 hour under the sky, like I said, bundled up, just looking around for a while, having binoculars to sort out things, you're going to be amazed. And if you have a red flashlight, the red light does not let your eyes contract back to a small pupil. That's what we use to read our charts and so forth, is a red flashlight. You can read and learn the dots up there, as complicated as it looks. Here are Castor and Pollux, the brothers, with the dot of the stars kind of outline. Procyon, the of the little dog, is just below them. The colors of the stars are only seen really in photographs, particularly, but you can tell the blues and the reds a little bit. You're not going to tell greens or too many other subtle colors, but in photography it's revealed. And I remember being about a teenager and photographing the sky with 400 ISO film. Boy, was that fast back 50 years ago in the 70s when light left Castor there, okay? And first time I got it processed, I could see the colors of Castor and Pollux, blue and red there. And I'm going, wow, that was, kind of nobody told me about that. Well, no one's going to talk about it. You got to read about it. So here are those two stars, and their kind of respective colors in a very kind of backyard, but with an amateur astronomer that knows what he's doing. Auriga, the charioteer, is the name where Capella is in. And there's a group of stars like a triangle called the Kids. And Auriga is called a chariot maker. And I've never heard of a person named Auriga, Marty. That'd be kind of a cool name to name a cat or punish a child all their life by calling them Auriga. But it was an important name. How many millennia ago, 3,000 years ago, this name's been around. So I say Auriga invented the wheel, all right, because this looks like a wheel up there. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it in the Marquette mythology of the stars. They'll go out and get you some starshine. Just mesmerized at some of those stars. Like I said, the light left 9 or 10 years ago, some 50 years ago, and some 10 centuries ago. It's really something to think about, particularly when you're looking up and you can put these dot to dots together. There is using the Orion's belt again to go down. You go to Sirius, you go up to Aldebaran, and you've got a loose cluster called the Hades, and then the very famous the Pleiades star cluster, which with binoculars you see more than 6 stars. You'll see 8, 10, or 12, or even more if you can steady those binoculars with a tripod mount. But the Pleiades look gloriously like this. All right. And this is a kind of a professional photographer, but this can be achieved in a backyard these days with about $5,000 worth of camera, a $5,000 camera, and about 50 hours of processing, I think, on this. So hope that you all have enjoyed a little bit of looking up and some backyard astronomy, and go out and get you some starshine. Gary Gerald, I'll bet it's pretty dark where you're at Collins, Georgia. I will stargaze with you someday there, my friend. I've looked up how to get to your place going up to Tennessee the last time. So, Doug Forrest, we're going to share some of those pictures later in the week if we get to them. I'll put them on Facebook. Dave Stange, Robert Law, Steve Jokins, Tom Usiak, Cynthia Rossi, and Carlton Bailey. Thank you all for watching today. I'm going to go to the Space Com, which is the old Space Congress that's now it's segued into a Space Com in Orlando the next 2 days to talk to some, it's a trade show. And we have tomorrow, Marty's going to air the recorded program with Virgil Grissom, and then we've got the director of the museum. I don't have Ed's name in front of me, that museum, Marty, but they have a Grissom section to this museum out south of St. Louis. And then we got another program recorded of some of Dan, a vice president from McDonnell Douglas Corporation. A father-son we have on Wednesday, as I'm going to have those recorded shows so I can be hobnobbing with some leaders of the industry and trying to understand some of the goals in the future for our wonderful rocket renaissance. So thank you for letting me have a laid-back Monday today after a pretty exhausting week here at the American Space Museum, not just for me, but for our leader, Karan Conklin. And we had some great support from Lillian and Connie and, of course, Selvin and Marty. All hands on deck over the weekend. I leave anybody out? Don't want to walk out of the studio here and have, oh yeah, I did. Anita. Left Anita out, Anita Truex. We put on a great reception and had a great time celebrating the lives of our fallen heroes, like we all are all week. And I'm going to post some pictures that'll come up at 6 o'clock if you want to see more about the service that we had memorial. And I'm not taking the banner down until the end of the week when we honor the fate of the Columbia astronauts on February 1st. So We'll be back Thursday live with Bob Castro, an Atlanta film documentarian for the space age. We've had Bob on before. And then Friday, we'll throw it all in a collective bag and see what comes out on Groundhog's Day. So Marty's got a sign there about the Detroit Lions, question mark. He's thinking maybe Larry Pushkar and Dave Stange might not be watching today from the hangover they had from that loss in the National Football Conference. Oh, and what?
And Bill Whiting.
Oh, yeah, Bill Whiting. Yeah, Bill. Bill. Sorry, we were all rooting for him there, of course. Myself, the underdog. But that's a little bit of sports up in the sky. And see, you could make an asterism like we have of a lion, Leo the lion up there. You could find an asterism for a football in the skies, okay? But there are no asterisms for a crying towel, Marty, up there. So we send you guys my Cleveland Browns crying table, okay? And better luck next year. And should be a good Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. It's if you're not a football fan, nonetheless, it's an event to have some fun. So glad you had some fun with me. And again, enjoy our recorded shows on Tuesday and Wednesday. And I'll be back with Bob Castro on Thursday. And thank you all for watching. Stay curious. Until next time, I'm Marquette saying I can't wait to see you in our museum to bridge the space between us.